My breath is my beautiful guide. My body is the wisest of the wise. My heart knows the way. And my womb is the most extraordinary gift of creation. And whether that means we as women birth a child or birth a business or birth a dream into reality, we birth art in so many ways. And with that, it's like that Shakti fire, that divine feminine essence moves from within us. And that movement, that vibration of creation is really the most juiciest part of the expression of who we are. That's creation, that's life force itself.
Women, this is a business podcast like no other. It is time to turn on your body, your life force, your eros, and your mission. It is time to tune up the volume of your voice and your message. Let this podcast be a permission slip and a portal into the next level of expansion in your business and the next upgrade in your personal brand and body of work. I will bring to you feminine leaders, way showers, and disruptors who are doing business differently. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, everybody. I am here today with the gorgeous Martine Kleissen. Martine and we just met recently, and I feel like we are sisters that go way back. We have so many friends in common. We do very similar work in the world. And so when we met, I was like, you need to come on the podcast. I want to jam with you. I really have no idea where this is going to go. I'm genuinely just so curious about this woman and her story, and yeah, we're just gonna riff. So Martine is a multidimensional mentor, a holistic healing arts practitioner, and a Kundalini Dance global trainer. She loves to blend the holy and the human, the magic and the mundane. And so we've got a lot in common. Thank you so much for being here.
I am so thrilled to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah. So I was scrolling your Instagram, and I've been following you a lot lately, just getting to know you. And you did a beautiful post, I think it was yesterday, about insourcing versus outsourcing your power. And I know that like a big part of your work is really embodying your inner sacred union. And we both work with feminine leaders. We both work with, similar type women. We blend kind of the masculine business side of things and this like beautiful feminine embodiment, energetic side of things. And so let's start there. Insourcing versus outsourcing power. Like, what does that mean to you? How do you see this expressed in the world? And really, what do you want to speak to on this topic?
Oh, I love this topic so much. And I feel like it's so wide and vast at the same time. And I think most of us can relate of all the times we outsource our power first. We outsource it to people that we think know better than our own body, than our own heart, than our womb knowing. We outsource this to governments, to medical professionals, to friends, to family, to authoritative figures. And we're taught how to do this very easily since we're little, that someone always knows best, and it's definitely not us in our own true knowing. So when we can come back into a place of, oh, what is insourcing? It is returning to that well of wisdom within. Whether it's the teeniest, tiniest whisper of insight that says like, yeah, do it, go take the plunge, try something different, stay curious. Or like, what if it could work? Or if it's a loud call of, I have to quit my job, I need to leave this relationship, I need to move, like big monumental milestones. The insourcing is all about that deep listening to the intelligence within. And I believe our body, ourselves, we're the wisest of the wise. And I believe that so much that there's so much conviction that no matter who I stand in front of in the world, even if it's the Dalai Lama or a government or a, Hollywood actor, I believe my body knows the way. And it is true and valid and real because it's an embodied knowing. And that knowing sometimes can't be logically said. It can't be intellectualized. It's just this sensory perception of the truth. And I don't think we're taught that often, but once we remember, because I think it's like we inherently remember this, and we intellectually remember as well when people teach us, whether it's through a practice or a ritual, that we get to really cultivate that relationship we have with ourselves. To move past the mind, but to go, into the body, to descend into this vessel of wisdom. And that wisdom can have different voices within too. When I share a truth from my heart, it might be different than when I'm sharing it from my roots. And both of those truths are still valid. I think that too, it's like there's not just one truth. There's so many embodied truths within us. But when we listen and we insource, like that becomes the energy which we run. That becomes the emanation of the frequency that we're beaming out into the world. That becomes part of the truth that we get to express.
I love how you phrase that. And it is so nuanced, isn't it? Like the information that we can receive in the body and how we transmit that information through the voice, and, just also the subtle journey of descent. And, like for me, this has been a long and continues to be such a revealing process of deeper layers of truth within my body. And I would love to hear your personal story of really not only recognizing, the wisdom of your body, but listening to it and then acting upon it, because those are different things too, right? Like it's not always easy to honor the truth of our bodies and then have the courage to be able to act upon what we know to feel is true. So what's been your journey of coming into embodiment and understanding the information in your body and then having the courage to be able to move as an embodied woman in the world?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And right away you say it, it's the courage. It's the courage to go within, which looks like to look within internally. If you have a visual perspective of what that feels like within yourself, it's to activate our sensing body, our sensual body, to know that we can presence into our physical skin, we can presence into our emotional layer, which is a skin, we can presence into the heart of the matter, all these different layers of presencing of like what is beneath. And there may be fear, there may be hesitancy, there may be anger, but like what's beneath that? There might be a longing or yearning, a desire. And what's beneath that? And I feel like when I got into this practice, and I would say most of it was Kundalini Dance alchemy, I discovered it way back in 2009. And I was definitely going through a transition in my life. I was in my mid-20s and going through the descent of releasing my career, releasing a friend group. I actually just moved to Vancouver to be with the love of my life. And everything changed. And I didn't really know who I was because I outsourced so much. I needed to remember the trueness of my essence, the trueness of my heart, what I was actually taking a stand for when everything else was falling away. And through Kundalini Dance, I would show up. I remember my first session, my roommate at the time said, Martine, you're not doing well, so come to dance. And I was like, I don't dance, no. And she's like, you're coming. And she was someone I respected. And she was already doing, chakra alchemy. She was doing healing. She was this beautiful holistic practitioner that I admired for the work she was doing, but leading in the world for women. And I just attended with her and I hated my first session and I loved it at the same time. Because it was so confronting. I had to look at myself and be like, oh, look at all the times you stifle your voice. Look at how you don't have courage to move your body or even to trust what your body wants to do. Look at how you dim yourself and keep yourself small. And I had these beautiful mirrors around me of these women that were ecstatic, that felt free, that knew how to use their voice in an authentic way, that danced in empowerment, but it was like pure essence. They were just moving however they wanted to move. And they didn't have a mask on. And I had all these masks on. And so dance by dance, I showed up. I signed up for a 7-week series, and I went to work, because it was work. Work to remove the emotional layers, the masks, unwinding, and really going into the descent of like the heart of who I am. And it takes a lot of courage to rewild yourself. It takes a lot of courage to really have so much care and compassion inside. Because so many times too, it's like we don't want to sit with things too long. We don't want to sit with the pain. We don't want to sit with the agony or the shame or the guilt. But when we can sit with it, we can actually go a layer deeper and be like, well, what's under that shame? And what's under that anger? And for me, it was about softening, because I was leading a lot from the mind. I wasn't leading from my womb. I wasn't leading from the altar of who I am now. I was leading from who I thought I should be in the world. And for me, that took a lot of courage. And I just like thank myself so much when I look back. It almost brings me to tears, because it's like, oh, sweetie, you did so good. It's important work. It's real work. It's work of staying connected to who we are, which really is the whole point of this extraordinary and difficult life.
Yeah, it's that remembering, isn't it? And I think that dance movement is such a beautiful way to take that journey of descent, especially in a sacred space, in a place where you're being held, and that is the intention of the space. Much different than like my 20s, nightclubs, dancing, not quite the same experience as Kundalini Dance, which, and I'd love to hear more about this because I know you're a facilitator of this now, but how that can be an alchemical process in itself, right? Just having that movement and that meeting of edges and discomfort and resistance and transmuting that through movement and moving past these edges. It is over time, like we truly do emerge as a completely different human, and ultimately we emerge as the truth of who we are. We shed, like you said, those masks and those layers of protection and conditioning and who we've been told we should be. But can you speak more to dance and movement and alchemy, and how a woman that, you know, is devoted to returning to her body and reclaiming her body can really use these feminine tools to reclaim who she truly is?
Oh, I love this. And I believe that is what it is. It's a reclamation on so many levels. Reclaiming the mind, reclaiming the body, reclaiming the soul. Finding that sovereignty within is key. And sovereignty is a hard one. So many people think of it as like black and white, but it's so multi-layered too, to know that we're sovereign over our body in so many ways that people tell us we're not. We're sovereign over our mind. We're sovereign over so many ways that we walk in the world. And a lot of times as women, we have to unpack that. We have to unwind. We have to learn to soften and surrender, which can be quite difficult, especially for high-performing women, and I'll raise my hand to that, especially for women that live in their masculine a lot, but also the feminine. We have beautiful, big things to be birthed into the world. And the feminine carries, energetically, we have a womb, we have the essence of carrying and holding. And so we can hold a lot that's actually not ours to carry, but we think it is. And so even to like decipher that and to be so discerning about what is it that I'm carrying that's holding space that isn't actually mine. And can I be in more of a neutrality of like, I take sovereignty over myself. I live my values. I walk my walk, I talk my talk, but I'm true to the essence of my knowing. And for me, that essence is my breath is my beautiful guide. My body is the wisest of the wise. My heart knows the way. And my womb is the most extraordinary gift of creation. And whether that means we as women birth a child or birth a business or birth a dream into reality, we birth art in so many ways. And with that, it's like that Shakti fire, that divine feminine essence moves from within us. And that movement, that vibration of creation is really the most juiciest part of the expression of who we are. That's creation, that's life force itself. And when we can activate this and remember this and empower this in particularly dance, in somatics, when we're moving and we're really getting out of the mind and into the body. I mean, one of my favorite things about Kundalini dance is most women have their eyes closed the whole time. Most women are just in their own inner ecology doing what they need to do, but what that really means is being who they are. They're trusting their breath. They're trusting where the energy wants to move. They know that the point isn't to alchemize into gold. The point is alchemy, because then everything turns to gold. We shimmer differently when we're connected to our life force, to our passion, to our pleasure, and to that deep knowing of what lives inside of us, what the truth is. Even if the truth shifts, it's okay. The truth of the moment is true.
There's a few things I want to unpack there. And, I want to learn more about the Shakti, the womb, the fire, like this like life force that we have access to as women, that is the creative and alchemical force that we can really use to birth and manifest and like hold our creations in the world. But you also mentioned, we as women, we take on these things that aren't ours, and we hold them, and they distort our sense of self and our perception of reality. And, how does this happen? And also, how do we know if we are like accumulating all of this external gunk in our field? Like, how do we know that? And how do we shift that? Body of Work Foundations by Presence Media is starting soon. It's time to return to your foundations, your roots, your body, your essence, and your truth, and build a body of work that changes the world from the inside out. Body of Work Foundations is a culmination of my nearly 20 years in the online space, supporting hundreds, if not thousands, of successful feminine leaders and descending into a body-based way of being in business. Don't be fooled by the word foundations. This is not a business 101 or basic business program. This program will challenge the most fundamental aspects of you. It'll bring you to your knees, sober you to what is, and require you to face all your worldly fears. It'll ask you to stand in your power and meet resistance and discomfort as your physical reality shifts around you, creating space for your new body of work to emerge. It will require difficult decisions and hard conversations. For this reason, we have brought in a support network of teachers, some of the best somatic practitioners and energetic workers of our time, to guide you back to your foundations, the roots of who you are and why you are here. If you're ready to build your body of work from a rooted place of truth, get on the waitlist for Body of Work Foundations and receive exclusive pricing for when it launches later in June. This program is self-paced and includes 7 core teachings and dozens of supplementary teachings and practices to descend you into your most pristine and potent body of work. All the details are in the show notes.
Yeah. There's so many different ways to know and shift. And I feel like it always depends on the person, where they're at, how they know themselves, and not in a shameful way of like, I know more of myself than you, but it's like the way that you tune in to that living vibration of who you are. And to know that there's so much noise around us, especially in social media, in expectations, in business, in the thousands, even being a business owner, the 1,000 ways that someone should run their business. You're going to have 1,000 different perspectives from people. So it's so complex that for me, when I remind women, remind myself, it's like, what does my womb want? Where does my heart expand? And I believe that that alchemy, that alchemical vibration or container is, it takes courage to be in the muck, in the distortion because we can't bypass it. We know the only way through is through. The ache is the medicine. The ache is also the pleasure. And it's just on a different spectrum of remembering. And I always bring in the way that the body knows is like we got to give ourselves time to honor who we are and to have compassion. So, when the anger arises, to sit with it, or when the shame is there, to sit with it, to not know that that's our one identity, but it's like one of us sitting around the fire pit of all of us. Our shame lives with us, our hopes, our anger, our resentment is there. My little 7-year-old is there. My wise woman is there. Like all of me can have a seat at the fire. And everyone is valid because it's all teaching me. It's all helping me remember what is most important. And the sacredness is, I believe, honoring it and also knowing, and how do I return to love? And so Kundalini Dance for me has been such an incredible sacred embodiment practice because I can bring my frustration to the dance floor. Let's say if I have a crazy day and I quote unquote dance it out, but what I'm really doing is removing the distortion. Not in an abandoning or like a throwing it away, but like, oh, that's not mine. I get to release it. Oh, I'm going to surrender into my anger and like know that that's okay because I'm taking a stand for something. But also, okay, what's under that anger? It's maybe I wanted validation. Okay, what's under the validation? Oh, I just want like to feel in harmony. And so it's coming into a place of honoring the purification too. Because we're inundated with so much in today's world, a lot of it isn't ours. And that can be really complex and hard, especially when we see what goes on in the world, never mind our families or communities. But when we're seeing so many horrific things on social media, when you have your tea in the morning or before you shut your phone off at bed, like there's a distortion that happens in the heart because the heart has it can hold so much, like it's an infinite capacity, but it feels so much. And so you need to be able to find the softening into love, into compassion again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I know we both, we work with feminine leaders. We work with women who have really big missions in this world and who are called into continuously expanding into deeper layers of themselves, but to be able to hold more and more. And as we are, stewarding these businesses, these missions, these families, all the things that we're holding and exposed to, what is going on in the external realities, it can feel like a lot, right? And I think having these practices, these feminine medicines, movement, breath, sound, like almost as a hygiene practice regularly is important, right? Because I think you can attest, like you've been doing this work for a long time. I've been doing this work for a long time. If I forget to like consciously breathe in a day, like shit gets blurry, and I don't make the best choices and things start to feel hard and I respond differently to my children and my business feels differently. Like it can accumulate, this gunk can accumulate, really quickly. So when it comes to, this divine inner union and creating this like sacred, I'd love to hear how you describe that in your own words, but to me, it just feels like this like knowing self as source, as divine, as like this luminosity, radiance. That's what it feels like to me, like that state. To be able to hold that state and know ourselves as that state as consistently as possible as we move through the world is ultimately going to serve, all of our projects and our relationships in the highest. But that's not always the case because we are busy a lot of the time. So what would you say to that woman that does have a big mission? She is a high performer. She has a lot of balls in the air, if you will. What is your tip to her to really also hold that divine sacred union as like the most sacred relationship and priority in her life?
Oh, that's a good one. There's so many gemstones there that I feel like are going to be practice for all of us until we pass away. right? Like sometimes we nail it and we're a master at it, and other times we fumble and we have to have others remind us to return to who we are. And for me, inner sacred union is about the balance of who I am. I am both feminine and masculine energy. I am connected to the Mother Earth, the divine feminine frequency, as much as I'm connected to the cosmos, and if we say the divine masculine frequency. And when I can merge both of those, and I don't mean by 50-50 balance, but just the essence of harmony, the essence of one doesn't exist without the other. Both matter in exactly like the perfect amount. They're a pair of each other. And this is where we also kind of remove what the world talks about duality. It's black or white, it's this or that. For inner sacred union, it is one thing. And it's like one coin, and on one side you have the divine feminine, and on the other side of the coin is the divine masculine. They don't exist without each other. And so for me, that is wholeness, that is oneness, that is the truth of who I am. And as a high performer, I think the more that we can tune in and almost check ourselves, not like being harsh, but to do internal checks of, am I striving or am I creating from a place of essence, of desire, of passion? Am I pushing or am I just on a roll because I feel so good? And it's trying to decipher where we are almost like overcompensating or in an old pattern of striving or pushing or overdoing action to like yearn to outsource ourselves? Or are we in the natural energy flow of we're in co-creation and we feel so lit up right now, and this is that Shakti energy, but also my masculine is in me too, getting shit done, right? Like I'm a powerful, I'm taking action, I'm moving in faith. And it's a beautiful blend of really honoring the feminine and the masculine in this dance of life, in how we move through our day. And I believe the more that we balance, for me, that is harmonizing. It's knowing that if we have really action-orientated day, we gotta come back and come into the softness and the surrender and the breath and the spaciousness of ourself, the slowing down back into the feminine. And if we're too in the feminine and the softness and you're just like, I'm just here to receive, it's like, yeah, but also can you walk forward with your passion? Can you trust the possibility and like move with faith too? Rather than just wait that, it's all going to come, yes, but can you also take action? And especially with high performing women that want to do big, beautiful, bold things in the world, we gotta be in the nervous system. We got to know that our breath returns us to our heart returns us to our womb. Our womb is the portal of creation. And like, that's where our creativity like cultivates the cauldron. And a lot of times I always think of it as a garden. If our life is a garden and we're planting here and we're building here and we're blooming here, but also know like that's the outward manifestation of what we're doing, but the inner garden is, okay, I just did so much during my day, I'm really just going to sit with the peace within and hear the birds chirp inside my womb, right? Or feel the rivers of Shakti just flow, because we need purpose, but we also just need silence too. We need like going, and we also need space.
I love how you linked those. The breath returns us to the heart returns us to the womb. Like, that is very beautiful, poetic. And I'm just like really feasting on that as a somatic experience. One thing I'm seeing a lot, and I've also experienced this myself, and I'd love your take on it, is like the high performing woman. And this, I would say, I identify with, and from very different energies. And like the masculine energy is how I was conditioned, right, to produce, to achieve, and get that like reward and get that love, and that's how it was. And I know a lot of women who are also that way and may still resonate with like being that really resourceful woman who can get it done, who can push through, who can make anything happen. And then, me personally realized that, okay, this isn't actually getting me the result I want, which is like peace and connection and love. And so I went on the journey of my feminine and my feminine awakening, and then got to this other polarity where it was more just like softness and flow and leaning back, and not much was actually taking place in my physical world. And then there was frustration, because that's my natural human design tendency when I'm not leveraging my creative energy in the way that I can. And so I love how you speak of this harmonization, that it's not like 50-50, it's not back and forth, it's actually this union of the two energies, and just responding to what is internal and external, and kind of dialing up and down what we require in that moment to just maintain that harmony within. I think that is really beautiful, and that's the place where we can hold these big visions, right? Because we are able to move with that inspired action and that aligned truth, and then we are able to rest, and in that rest our mind's not freaking out like, oh, fuck, I'm not getting it done. It's not going to work. It's all crumbling, which is what used to happen to me when I wasn't being productive, when I was resting too much. Like, we're really able to move with these rhythms and these cycles that is the feminine creation process. So I'd love to hear more about your experience with that, and really, like with the womb, with the heart, like all of these centers in our feminine being, how we can create and birth these big visions in a way that is just sustainable and beautiful.
I love that so much. Sustainable and beautiful. And I believe those two are one of the most important keys of creation. Because if it's not, I'll flip it. If we're just putting things out there and creating to create, it in a striving way, it becomes that, I'm going to be very clear, being like a little distorted energy, like the producing energy. But if we're really tuning in, knowing that we are the wisest of the wise, like everybody is the wisest of the wise in their own body, their own knowing, their own connection to their soul, their own cellular knowing within, that is the guide. And some people, of course, when you're following human design, they're going to feel those cultivation centers differently. And so human design is a beautiful map to know yourself deeper and to know what energies of your body you get to cultivate in, or presence into more, or invite into your expression more if you're not naturally running that energy. And in the Kundalini Dance practice and inner sacred union, it all is in the womb. No matter the gender, we are in the pelvic bowl. We are in the cauldron of creativity. We are in the Shakti pelvic area of, it doesn't actually matter your physiology. It's the energy center that holds you. And for us, that is the cauldron of creation. And when we can create from there, that's also, when I return to the garden within, that's where I'm seeding all of my dreams. And then I can nourish them from within. Whether it's through a guided meditation, whether it's through dance, whether it's through breath, it's like you're putting your dreams into the womb to grow, knowing that that's the space of all of creation. So if someone wants to write a book, like, write the book from your womb, but like, put even the idea of writing a book into a little seed that germinates in the womb, and know that that space is being held there. And sometimes with the garden, if we have that analogy of the womb space, there's a lot of weeding that needs to happen, emotionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, psychologically. We are these multidimensional beings that carry so much, and so sometimes we have to tend to the garden within. And every woman's journey is going to look different on that, because we have different blueprints, we have different histories, we have different life experiences. And so that's a really tender area, but it's really the most magnificent area to start with. Because then when we can return and we can tend to the garden and we can let go of things that are not serving us or things that are wanting to come into healing and harmony, wanting to be released physically, emotionally, mentally, it's like we open up space for creation to flow, for life force to flow. And then all of those seeds that we plant internally have space to root, to broaden, to then start to germinate, and ultimately to bloom in our life. And I personally feel like the blooming is when it reaches the heart. It comes through the solar plexus of like, yeah, I do want to bring this to the surface. I want to write a book. I want to, start this program. I want to make this happen in the world. That's the power center coming on board. That's the action. Whether it's feminine or masculine, it doesn't matter. It's like the emanation of radiance coming forth to be like, let's beam this out in the world. But it's like the bloom, the manifestation is coming in alignment with the heart, knowing that it exists within, but like everyone else gets to see that manifestation outside or externally perhaps too, if it's a material thing.
Our bodies are just the most advanced technology there is, like truly, truly. And just hearing you speak to that, my womb is like on fire. I'm just like, yes, like this is the vessel. We are these portals of creation. So I want to like double click and go into that a little bit and like talk about these different centers of creation that we have. And let's start with the womb as the creative cauldron, as you say. And I personally work a lot with my cycles for my creative process. Like I'm in my oracle right now, I'm moving into my inner spring, and that's when I'm going to be taking action. And then we go through the cycle and we get to our autumn, our death, where we get to feel and release, and that's where the alchemy is so fucking potent. And so let's talk about the womb and using the womb for creation. And then I'd love to hit on the other energy centers, like you said, like the heart for expression and the solar plexus for power and the voice for creation. So I'm going to let you lead this, but let's start with the womb and if you could tie in like the Shakti energy piece and how that supports the creative process too.
So beautiful. One of the things I love to talk about most is how all those centers are so important. And we may spend more time on the womb or the heart, but they're all just so valid in their own way, so unique. Like the vibration they carry and they help us carry is so unique. And even before the womb, we got to go to the roots. We got to go to the root chakra, because this is what we live. We live on planet Earth. Everything we do is a manifestation here on the planet. And as a little side note, it's like you can have such a deep spiritual person, and they're living so much in their crown or their third eye, they're not actually living grounded, rooted, anchored on the planet. And even when we think of color codes, so many people that are not attuned to yellow, orange, red, they actually need that more in their auric field, because they're living in the higher, I want to say the higher frequency, not as a lower dense, but just the different spectrum of rainbow energy, of vibration. That it's like to manifest in the world, you actually need to root that in. And I've learned a indigenous Mayan tradition of light language many years ago by my mentor Homaya. And this indigenous tradition teaches us the three-dimensional sacred geometries of light language. It's not anything you speak, it's how you emanate in the world. And anyone that wants to manifest, they gotta have red in their aura. Otherwise, they're not manifesting. They might be intellectualizing a manifestation, but they're not actually bringing it into 3D reality. So for creation, that is key. We gotta know we live here on the planet. Yes, we come from the stars, but we're here on Mother Earth, and that's the whole point of life. So I'll start there, because in Kundalini Dance, we ground into the Mother Earth. We visualize our energy from our own body, our root system, and we bring that through all the layers of the planet. We tap into the streams of liquid abundance of the earth, those aquifers of nourishment, the crystalline codes of creation. But we go even deeper, and we go all the way into the center of the earth's core. And that's where we create from, because we are here to be an emanation of love on the planet. We are here to be a creation body, but tapped into the root of creation of Mother Earth. And so we actually weave our roots into the core of the Mother Earth. And we link our womb with the womb of Gaia. And so she begins, that divine feminine current, that Shakti current of Mother Earth can source that life force from her life force too. And she not only purifies, but she enhances, she ignites, she empowers, she removes obstacles, she nourishes. It's this spectrum of aliveness of life that then she can remind us of our own life force too. Because we're not a closed loop. We think we are as a body, but we always have our feet on the ground. And so we connect with the trees, with the mycelium network, with the earth, with the waters, with the core. And that's what we bring actually through the whole root system, but into the pelvic bowl. And particularly for women, into the womb. We let it come up the cervix, through the uterus. We activated that Shakti spark, that heat, that fire in the ovaries. And then we circulate nourishing, loving, pure, vibrational, loving light of life force through the womb cauldron, knowing that it cleanses and nourishes and empowers and delights and activates our pleasure centers. And that is how we're honoring the space of creation, because the womb is a whole universe in itself. And then our whole chakra system is like another universe of the universe of who we are. We're this multidimensional, infinite universe upon universe, depending how we look at our microcosm macro body. So to be in the womb is so juicy, because that's where it's your desire leads you. Your pure life force of ooh, that feels good. I want to do that. I want to feel that. I want to manifest that. I want to bring that into life. And so whether it's an out dream of birthing a book into the world, or birthing a baby, or just birthing your expression and learning, honing how to use your voice and to open your heart, that's still the life force that we work with internally. So we start to stream it through our light body. We bring it into the solar plexus to empower, to bring in the radiance, to know that we are the lighthouse of our life. To know that we are the spark and the flame and the bonfire and the stars. We're all of it in its own different power ways. And we can enhance that. And we bring that into the heart as well. And one beautiful thing I love about the Kundalini Dance practice is we give time to purify, which many times in somatics, some do and some don't. But for us in the practice, there's a time to honor what feels distorted, what feels heavy, what feels dense, what's not serving us, and to love ourselves through it. Whether it's pain or, distortion, or whether it's, a conversation you had or a decision you made or guilt or shame. It's can we love ourselves and actually bring that into the essence of heart? Bring it up to the heart chakra. And we are always using our breath. So we breathe it into the arms of love. We let love hold us. And then we become the emanation and the alchemy, because the heart resonance field is so deeply healing in so many ways. That's where the alchemy, it happens everywhere, but in the practice of Kundalini Dance, the heart is the center point, the 0 point of alchemy. And then we bring that up, and depending where we're working on, every session is different, but we can activate it through our voice. We can activate it through what we're birthing through our hands and how we're in service to the world. We can activate it with our inner vision of planting our future seeds. But really, the vibration of love is what's holding us. And we connect our feminine self through the heart, through all the layers of the heart, and we open ourselves up to source, up to spirit, up to the divine masculine, into the codes of star creation, connecting in with our soul. And then we listen from there too. We attune to how the divine masculine supports us. And that in itself, as a woman, is so healing. because we can recognize what the true source of the masculine is: honor, is impeccability, is grace, is pure love. And we can also remove any distortions we have of the masculine from there too, because that essence is teaching us what it really is. And then we bring that back down, because we can't just live up there. We got to come back to the planet. So we bring it back down through our chemical body. We send it to where it needs to be sent to. We empower, we activate, and we really balance and harmonize. And it can be done in such a body way, in a somatic way, where we're like cleansing the organs and the skin, and lighting up the lights in our eyes. And it can be done in the chakra way, that we're just empowering the chakra system, the energy grids. And it can all the way go down into the DNA, where we spend time honoring our carbon DNA, like the manifestation of our humanity. But we also know our crystalline DNA is the manifestation of our divinity. And everything in life has a pair. One side and the other, it exists together. So for me, bringing a woman on the dance floor is: you are human and holy. You are feminine and masculine. You are pleasure and pain. It all exists together. But the more that we can be in the vibration of love, that is where we find peace and harmony and purpose.
I feel like I don't even want to talk anymore. I just want to be in this vibration. I'm literally just all my cells are buzzing. Yeah.
All your cells are buzzing because you know the truth in your body.
I'm just receiving this activation.
The body knows the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I love how you brought in the roots and the foundations. And this is actually, by the time this podcast is released, will have released a program called Body of Work Foundations, which I am going to talk to you about teaching in now, because I just feel like that needs to be part of the teaching. But this part of foundations and roots is so important in these times. And for those who are birthing bodies of work and missions of substance, if we are not rooted and grounded into our bodies, into our roots, into the earth, they will not take form in this material world. And I feel like the spiritual community, conscious women, need to really understand that. So can you speak a little bit more to the roots and the importance of creating strong foundations as a woman in business?
Oh, I love this. You give me full body shivers, because there's so many, there's still so much to unpack about being a spiritually grounded woman, being a grounded visionary. And I'm talking to you, right? To be a visionary, but to have your feet planted in your value system, in how you walk in the world. It's not what it looks like, it's what it is internally, which then is what it is in the manifestation of what we are externally. And so I will always help everyone remind themselves of the infinity symbol. Who we are within is what we're emanating out. And the more that we can know that as a spiritual woman and as a business owner, and we have big missions on the planet, because that is also what we're here for. That needs to be actualized, because shit needs to change in life, right? People need to remember, people need to find their power again. They need to remember the essence of who they are. And all of these beautiful, incredible women offering their gifts is an offering to that humanity of remembrance. So all of it matters too. But the more that we can do it in a sustainable, grounded way, in a practical way, the more magic exists, in my opinion. The magic is in the mundane, really. It is in the breath. It is in nourishing your body. If we're not nourished on a physical, cellular level, we have a very frenetic energy, especially as women. And to come back into, working with your cycle, I believe everyone should work with their cycle, especially if they're in business, but definitely in life, because then we know how we're naturally running our energy, and we actually have more compassion over how we get to structure our days, our weeks, our month, because we're in the essence of what is real. We're not trying to disassociate from things or just, push them away and strive forward. It's like we get to honor and be more impeccable with ourselves. And I feel like when we're running the natural energy grids, especially with our moon cycle, that becomes really exciting, because then it's like you feel your true essence. You know perhaps where it's glitchy or not. You can have compassion for yourself. You own it. You take responsibility, but you also keep nourishing and keep empowering. And I feel like that also shifts how we take care of ourselves differently during the month too. There's times that, taking care of yourself looks like going out in nature more and communing in a really soft, subtle way. There's times when taking care of yourself means more laughter with girlfriends and more adventure and more curiosity in the world, because that's exciting and it feeds that part of your day or your week. And there's more times where that inner prayer, that solitude of just allowing yourself to let go and surrender, because that's literally what our body is doing, is letting go. It's like, can we also know, like our womb is letting go, but can we let go of whatever we need to in the heart? Can we let go of our emotional body and let the tears flow without making meaning of it, but just surrender to the process of our incredible womanhood, and let that also be sustainable in business? Knowing that if we have things to accomplish, put it in a way that it's setting yourself up for success too. Knowing that sometimes your energy's higher, sometimes your energy's more solitude and slow. That feels successful, because then you're not shaming or berating yourself when you have absolutely no energy because you're on day one of your cycle and you're like, I should. And then it's like, but if I would have planned more spaciousness, I would plan that differently, because I put myself first. I don't put what I need to do first. Mm-hmm. And for me, that comes back to that insourcing. We put ourselves first, not in an egotistical way, in a nourishing way. That then we know that infinity is being, right? It's being nourished, it's being harmonized, it's being held. We're holding ourselves, which then means when the energy shifts, it's like we have that output to then switch gears and to activate and to do and to manifest and to have that sustainable energy flow. And sometimes we have to go through a hard path. I mean, for me, I had to go through adrenal fatigue 10 years ago to switch that pattern, because I had nothing in the tank, because I was striving, doing, people pleasing, right? Not nourishing as good as I could be. So then it was like, whoa, I actually have no energy. And now rather than saying yes to everybody but myself, I'm going to say yes to myself and practically tell everybody no, which was really challenging as a woman when you're used to running an old pattern. But when we put ourselves first, it's like you find harmony in what really matters, which is our health, which is our energy, which is the way that we carry ourselves and love ourselves, which is thus how we emanate in the world and we teach our children and our family and our friends and our clients.
It is truly a new way. I mean, it is the original way. It is the natural way. And it's a new way. This is not mainstream. It's becoming mainstream. People like you and I and those listening right now are the ones here that are leading this way back to the body, back to honoring our rhythms and our cycle and harmonizing with nature. And, and you can just, I hope for those listening, you can just feel the richness of a life lived in this way, and potentially you can draw upon a past version of you that was not in this way, and just honoring the journey and the initiations and the deaths and the rebirths and everything that have brought you to this moment where this is the truth, and just such an honor to live in this way and to have connections and conversations like this that just feel so normal. Of course, this is how we are in business. Of course, this is how we create in life. What a true gift to recognize and remember that in this lifetime.
And I just want to touch on that too, because it's we get to remind people, to maybe try a new map if they haven't already in their cycle or in how they lead themselves, but also to not make it rigid. Because there's so many people that try the map, let's say cycle sync with the way they walk through the world, but then they're so rigid and they're so boxed in, and that organic Shakti is not moving either, because they're turning it into a to-do rather than also letting it be. And then they're overthinking their capacity, being like, oh, I don't have capacity for that. And it's like, because I'm on day one, but it's like, you actually have infinite capacity. And when you let Shakti, your feminine flow, your life force move you, you can also surprise yourself on day one of your cycle and have the most extraordinary day that maybe you didn't let yourself have for 6 months prior, because you're like, I have to stay home. I got to be in red sheets. I got to do all these rituals. And then it just becomes a doing, which is like, sometimes you can over ritualize, which becomes a to-do list, rather than let the organicness of your wise body and your womb show you the way.
Yeah.
I also want to like turn that on its head.
Well, it's so true. And I think like the power of intention in that, right? Without gripping to how the intention is going to unfold is, and obviously understanding how, when you work with intention, we're working with the present moment, and the revealing process can just be so powerful, especially in that oracular bleed phase where we have the veil is so thin on our multidimensional selves. That's where I make all of my big decisions in business, or when I'm bleeding. Like, I don't even try to contemplate them outside of that. Like, let's just bring it to the oracle, see what's true, and then take some action after that.
Totally. The womb knows the way. And I feel like, we've had the wise woman before us help us remember that. And I'm just so blessed and so grateful that I got to remember this in my mid-20s. And I'm so blessed and grateful that I get to help women remember this, whatever age they are. Because the age doesn't matter. It's that we remember. And that we get to remember from other women that are reminding us. It's not even teaching us. It's reminding us of the wisdom we carry. And this is one way to do it, or, another way to do it. There's a multitude of ways that are magnificent. And it's like, we still got to discern and find our way and try and be curious, but to like trust what the womb wants, what the heart wants.
Yeah, beautiful. So I, first and foremost, want to do some Kundalini dance with you after this conversation. But if people are wanting to connect with you and learn more about your work and how you support women, can you just speak to ways that people can connect with you and work with you? Obviously, you're Vancouver based right now, and that's where your physical dancing is, but how else if people are located in other parts of the world?
Yeah, so beautiful. What I love about this work is it can be done personally, one-on-one, in our somatic sessions, in our private mentorship, and it can be in group. It can be in single sessions here, it can be on retreats, it can be in training if you really want to learn these skills. I know for myself in 2013, I said, I want these alchemical keys in my body. I'm going to Australia to be trained, and I didn't think I was going to be a facilitator. But of course I learned it, and I was like, how do I not share this? This is the best thing ever. So it's like, all of this is a living embodiment of who you are and a map of knowing yourself in the most exquisite radiance of who you are and who you're becoming, because nothing goes one way. So if people want to work for me, I absolutely love working one-on-one. We get to go deep, we get to go wide, we get to go high. What I also love is working with women like that want to know their womb, but also their womb heart and their voice more, because so many people need to express themselves and they're still stifling, or they're still scared about how to express themselves, either in their art or their poetry or their business or their marketing, that it's like we get to blend worlds because we're not one thing. We are these multifaceted diamonds and have multiple ways of expressing who we are in the world. And it doesn't matter what you do, it's your willingness to go within and to listen to your own inner wisdom. And I just get to be a loving guide for you to listen, to know, and to feel who you are. So I absolutely love one-on-one work. For those in the Lower Mainland or in Vancouver, there will probably be some single sessions of Kundalini Dance or of somatic embodiment or mini retreats. I love switching it up. So of course there's a chakra embodiment or chakra alchemy, which is like we go root chakra 1 week and then sacral, and we go all the way up to crown. So it's sometimes an 8 or a 9 week series. But there's also other ones that are like womb as oracle, heart as oracle, like spicy alchemizing power, which is like when we get, that sacred rage on a little bit. There's ways of feeling and working with what delights us, or also what we think and know we need to empower. And of course, there's beautiful ways that you can embody your own light body. So working with the Mayan indigenous tradition of light language, I run these beautiful 7-shaped rainbow grids in people's auric fields that come from the lineage of the Esperanza in Mexico. And it is these, like, done for eons, these natural ways of, feeling fulfilled, or activating more peace in your life, or feeling creative, or enhancing your leadership. And this is a beautiful light body energy way that you run. And of course, as we run it in your field, you manifest it in real life, which is really cool to see it actualized in 3D reality too. And really, it's honestly, a lot of things I don't do are curated. And that's one of the things I freed myself from, was having a particular box of helping women. Because we're so multifaceted, because we're all have different blueprints of understanding our inner landscape, my mentorship, whether it's 1 month, 3 months, a year, it's all uniquely tailored, because we need to know what you need. We need to be in your frequency. And to me, that's following your energetic, your alchemical map. And it's not a script I follow, which sometimes that works for other people, but that doesn't work for me, because we are an organic, Shaktified energy of creation. So like the womb leads the way, the heart leads the way. And whether we talk about motherhood or business or millions or, $10, it doesn't matter. It's like all of you is worthy to show up as you are. So that's what I love the most.
Multidimensional mentor. I mean, if we're going to put a label on it, that's a pretty good one, like all of it. And yeah, just creating those customized, not templated, but working with the blueprint and the evolution of a woman is, I love that. And so we will, in the show notes, share all the ways in which people can connect with you and work with you. And I knew I was going to enjoy this conversation, but I did not know just how profound and activating it would be. So I am so grateful that we connected, and I'm really looking forward to all the ways that we weave together from this point forward. And just thank you so much for your time and being here today.
Oh, it is my complete honor and joy. I am so excited to co-weave with you and to tap into your beautiful audience of heart-led leaders and loving women, and to get to know them. And it's always just such a joy to be with like-minded hearts and wombs. So thank you for who you are and what you're doing in the world. Like, this is so beautiful and extraordinary for people to remember and to activate their power and strength and love.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode, and thanks so much to another amazing guest. If you love this episode, please make sure to subscribe to our channel. We are committed to producing weekly episodes to turn you on and tune up the volume of your voice and impact in the world. I would love to stay connected. You can come and follow me over on Instagram at The Grounded Visionary. Or if you're interested in learning more about the services we provide at Presence Media, check us out at www.presencemedia.co. See you next week.